Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the DFL Daily. Richard Carlbaum here, chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. So great to be with you each and every morning at 10:45, giving you the message, the action, and the tools to make sure that you're empowered each and every day to take one more concrete step toward winning big in the November 3rd, 2026 election, 97 days away. All right, so first up, a few things happening. The Rural Rally for Democracy in Chatfield at 5 p.m. today. And then there's the Mary Carlson and Chris Swanson candidates for Senate District 11 and House District 11A up near Cloquet are holding a fundraiser at 5 p.m. Tomorrow, the Common Good Coffee Club meets in Scandia at 10 a.m. There's also the Neighborhood Ice Cream Social at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow in Anoka. And then looking forward a little bit, September 17th is St. Paul's Voter Education Night out. Save the date. You can early vote right now for the August 11th primary. Please get out there and vote for Trina Swanson, Ilhan Omar, Matt Little, and of course, our U.S. Senate candidate, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. Appreciate you all getting out and voting before August 11th. All these events and more can be found at dfl.org/events. Get out and bring someone new. All right, let's get into today's topic. The message we're talking about this week is the fact that on Sunday, we crossed 100 days from the election day. And as I said at the top of the call, we're 97 days away now from the November 3rd midterm election. So what is at stake? By election day, every family will have a pretty simple question to answer. Who has a plan to bring down costs? Does that sound familiar? The contrast is what's important. What did Republicans do, and how will Democrats move us forward? Republicans, of course, promised to lower costs on day one. Instead, Minnesotans are paying more for health care, housing, gas, groceries, and everyday necessities. Elected Republicans in Washington and in Minnesota aren't holding up their end of the deal. And their broken promises have made life less affordable for working families. Minnesota Democrats are strong, and we are fighting to bring down costs and help your family get a little breathing room. Working people deserve to get by and get ahead. That means affording the essentials and making government work for us. Expanded child tax credits, universal school meals, and more housing to drive down costs down. Here's what's important to get across this week. The value statements that should lead your communications. You shouldn't be one doctor's visit away from being plunged into chaos. You shouldn't have to choose between basic necessities and getting help when you're sick. Republicans promise to keep America out of costly foreign wars. Instead, Trump's new strikes on Iran are pushing oil prices even higher and driving another spike in gas prices. Minnesota families have already spent hundreds of dollars more per household on Trump's war of choice that shows no signs of stopping. And Republicans in Minnesota continue to support this war of choice. Brad Finstead, Michelle Fischbach, Pete Stauber, and Tom Emmer continue to support the war of choice in Iran. And here's the thing, folks. The worst is still ahead if Republicans continue down this path. Democrats know that families are working harder than ever and dipping into their hard-earned savings to make ends meet. But Republicans keep choosing Donald Trump and MAGA priorities over all of us. Democrats are Minnesota strong. We're standing with Minnesotans. Republicans are choosing Donald Trump and his MAGA priorities over all of us. Once again, we'll drop links in the chat of our endorsed candidates so you can read and see their plans to bring costs down for working families in black and white, from housing to healthcare. Our candidates have plans. Now let's back this up with some facts. Like always, there's a lot. Here are three of the stickiest that I think tell a clear story. We've shared these before, and we're going to keep revisiting them because they're important. First, 66% of Americans are worried about being able to afford health care for their family, and 57% say the same about groceries. 67% say that recent increases in gas prices have caused financial hardship for their household. These are the facts. This is what Minnesotans are feeling. So what does it mean for families in like actual dollars? ACA deductibles are up to a record $3,786 on average. It means that ACA monthly premiums are up about $780 per year on average. What does that mean? That means fewer people are getting health care because they can't afford it. No, most people can't afford those kind of increases. That means a family of four making $70,000 is paying $3,182 more on average, which comes out to $265 more a month on average. And that's just healthcare. For gas, Americans have spent $56.4 billion, with a B, billion more on gas since the start of Trump's unpopular war of choice in Iran. Minnesota families have spent $867 million more on gas. $867 million. That's $403 per household since the start of Trump's unpopular war of choice with Iran. It's a loser of a war. The final point, maybe one of the most important facts, Americans have spent more than $1,000 per household and $132 billion overall on higher Republican prices for gas, food, and other daily expenses. Check out the message memo for more proof points of how Republicans have hiked up your family's costs. We'll link it in the chat. I have to tell you, folks, we have to continue to tell this story. It's very simple. Minnesota families are going to have one decision to make. Who has a plan to lower our costs? Republicans, every decision they've made have increased costs on families. We're going to talk about some quotes, as usual, the evergreen quote from Michelle Tafoya, who's running for the U.S. Senate as a Republican. She said, I think right now, at least, just kind of keeping a stiff upper lip is how we handle the affordability crisis. Maybe you take one less trip to Starbucks so that gas goes a little further. Just don't drive to Starbucks and your gas will go a little bit further. And here's one, maybe even more out of touch. Quote, Trump's economic policies are going to work. Just chill a little bit. That was Senator Karen Housley of Stillwater. Nat Smith, you need to beat Karen Housley. She has to lose. She is a loser for telling Minnesotans just to chill out a little bit. Nat Smith, we're counting on you to beat her on November 3rd. Now let's contrast that with our DFLers. Senator Amy Klobuchar has always said, and almost every time she speaks, I'm focused on lowering costs and getting things done. Full stop. That's the value proposition Democrats are bringing to the party. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan says, I'm running to make sure that people can afford their lives, the lives they want to live. And Attorney General Keith Ellison, from stopping power-hungry corporations to winning settlements for taxpayers, overcharged for insulin, I'm fighting every day to protect Minnesota consumers. That's Keith Ellison, our Attorney General, the people's lawyer. So those fully back up one of our starting points. The worst is yet to come if Republicans continue down this path. We have real contrast with our DFL candidates, and our folks are doing everything and going everywhere to get their ideas out there. The big point, though, Democrats are Minnesota strong, and Democrats are working to bring prices down. So turning this week's message memo into action, our action is simple. Share the graphics. We're going to put in the link right now. We want you to share these far and wide on whatever platforms you have access to, your own personal ones, your local party unit. Please get these graphics out there. If you're not yet part of our group called DFL Amplify, you can go to dfl.org/amplify to get these graphics and more. We post on Amplify almost every single day, helpful content and graphics that you can actually post then on your own platforms. And then tomorrow, tune in to hear more about our plan to bring down costs as outlined by the Minnesota Values Project, which is a project of the House DFL caucus here in the state of Minnesota. You won't want to miss this. So that's it, folks. This week's message memo. Now you have the message, the action, the tools to be empowered today. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow on Thursday. We have 97 days until the November 3rd midterm election. Let's go win this thing. Thanks, everybody.